That spot is for MY bag. D, move it!
This is a bassinet seat. You're not taking it.
Ma'am, please return to your seat, K. They're being moved to Bulkhead priority.
I still can't believe this actually happened to us. You know, it feels like one of those urban legends you see on TikTok, but I swear on my life, every single absurd detail is true. It started the moment we stepped onto that plane, a 6-hour red-eye from Palm Springs, California, heading to our connection in Denver, and I was already running on fumes, pure, unadulterated newborn exhaustion, the kind that makes you weep over spilled milk that isn't even spilled. We were flying with our 4-month-old, Alara, who thankfully was currently snoozing like an angel strapped to Liam, my husband's chest. We had specifically booked the bulkhead seats in economy plus months in advance, the only ones on that specific aircraft configuration where they could bolt on the baby bassinet, and it felt like winning the lottery. Like that tiny little hanging cloth crib was our golden ticket to 6 hours of blessed silence and a non-numb arm. It was the salvation of my sanity, seriously. We were maybe 80% finished stowing our mountain of baby gear, diaper bag, bottle bags, the portable fan, the whole 9 yards, when she appeared, a human embodiment of crisp polyester and entitlement, a woman in a perfectly tailored cream suit, hair shellacked into an impenetrable helmet of blonde, and a face that looked permanently set to, I need to speak to the manager. She marched straight past the actual first-class section, ignored the entire row of people boarding, and stopped dead in front of us. Her eyes locked not on us, not on Alara, but on the folded, gray canvas bassinet that was hanging neatly on the wall right in front of my seat. And before I could even manage a weary smile, she pointed a manicured, emerald-ringed finger at the empty space where the crib attaches and announced, her voice piercing, like a perfectly tuned opera singer hitting a glass note. Excuse me, but that space is reserved for my carry-on bag. It is not for your infant's furniture. My blood went instantly from exhausted to boiling. I just stood there gaping. This woman, this Veronica Vance, as we would soon learn, was claiming the FAA-approved infant sleeping fixture for her luggage, for a massive, vintage Hermes Birkin Himalayan that looked like it cost more than our entire year's mortgage. And the way she said infant's furniture, like Alara was a nuisance and not a human being, made my jaw clench so tight I thought I'd crack a tooth. I mean, who does that? Who looks at a sleeping baby and thinks, no, my handbag deserves that comfort more? Liam, bless his heart, tried to take the high road, trying to keep his voice calm even though I could feel the steam coming off his neck. He explained, ma'am, with all due respect, this is a designated bassinet spot. We called the airline. We have the confirmation. It's only for infants under 25 pounds. There's even a sticker right there. And he pointed to the giant, non-negotiable red decal that clearly stated the rules. Veronica Vance didn't even glance at the sticker. She just sniffed, a sound that could only be described as expensive contempt, and thrust her boarding pass in my face. Not even looking at me, just staring slightly above my head. I am a 5-star Diamond Elite member. 2.8 million lifetime miles. I specifically requested this bulkhead because my bag, a truly irreplaceable piece, cannot be crammed into the overhead compartment. It needs its own space. And quite frankly, your child can sit on your lap, like every other average traveler. She actually used the word average, like it was a contagious disease, and I felt the old, hormonal tears start to well up, but this time they were tears of pure, molten rage. I knew this feeling. I had been reading about this feeling for years. This was the moment when a random HOA Karen decides that her perceived status cancels out reality, physics, and basic human decency. And I thought, not today, Ronnie. Not with 4 hours of sleep and a sister's wedding on the line. She then yelled down the aisle, completely bypassing the actual cabin crew, calling out to a very stressed-looking gate agent, get over here and remove these people immediately. They are obstructing my comfort and violating my elite accommodations. And half the plane was absolutely transfixed. Phones were out, whispering, and I was so embarrassed I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. But then, the real MVP arrived. This incredible flight attendant named Jasmine glided over, with a smile that was clearly fighting for its life, a perfect customer service mask barely holding together. But Veronica didn't let her speak. She just kept ranting, detailing the pedigree of her bag, the rarity of the crocodile leather, the fact that she knew the regional VP of operations, All of it. Just word salad designed to intimidate everyone with less money than her. Jasmine took Veronica's boarding pass, scanned it on her tablet, and the second the device beeped, I watched that customer service smile vanish entirely, replaced by a look that was part shock, part pure, silent satisfaction. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine for the briefest second, and I knew she knew something. Jasmine leaned in, her voice now dangerously low and professional, addressing the gate agent. Please contact the flight deck. Advise Captain Reyes that we have a critical seating change for elite member Vance. And please confirm the international configuration for row 1 is operational. And then she turned back to us, placing a steady, gentle hand on my shoulder. Mr. and Mrs. Chun. Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Monroe. Could you both just step into the galley for one moment? Please, we are going to sort this out, I promise. My heart hammered against my ribs. I thought we were done for, that they were going to boot us off the plane to appease the crocodile bag enthusiast. But then Jasmine grabbed the intercom, and her voice was a ribbon of silk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Due to an unexpected equipment configuration, we are implementing a minor, pre-approved seating upgrade for 2 very special passengers. We apologize for the brief delay. Veronica Vance practically glowed, a sickening, self-satisfied smirk plastered on her face. She actually, physically unclipped the bassinet mechanism from the wall, pushed it aside, and then, with theatrical reverence, she lowered that hideous, expensive Birkin into the empty space, arranging her cashmere travel shawl around it like it was about to pose for a Vogue shoot. And I was shaking. Liam was holding me, whispering that we would just hold Alara for 6 hours. It would be tough, but we could do it. But inside, I was already plotting how I'd write the most scathing Google review of my life. That's when the crew executed the maneuver that still gives me goosebumps. Jasmine reappeared from the front, holding 3 new boarding passes and looking like a vengeful angel. She stopped right in front of Veronica, who was still fluffing her shawl, and said, her voice dripping with the kind of sweetness that hides a razor blade, Mrs. Vance, the captain has personally approved your new, specially selected accommodations. Please collect your item and follow me immediately. Veronica snatched up the Birkin, hugged it to her chest, and practically skipped up the aisle, thinking she was heading to the captain's reserved seat, or maybe a private suite, leaving us standing there, confused, waiting for our inevitable demotion to the literal bathroom. But Jasmine returned, walked straight to us, and handed Liam 2 new boarding passes, row 1A and 1C. Liam stared at them, then at me, then back at the passes, and whispered, Chloe, this is first class, the real first class, the lie-flat international seats. And I swear I couldn't breathe, but then Jasmine leaned in closer, a genuine, warm smile finally cracking through. And because it's the long-haul configuration, you don't just get 1 bassinet hookup. You get 2, side by side. Captain Reyes said no child on his aircraft loses her bed to a designer bag, especially not on his watch. Welcome to first class. Enjoy the quietest 6 hours of your life. The entire economy cabin erupted, not just applause, but actual whooping. One guy in the back shouted, "Take that, lady." And another started filming us like we were celebrities. I was in a daze, grabbing our bags, feeling the adrenaline flood out, replaced by sheer disbelief, as we floated past the curtain and into the beautiful, leather-scented sanctuary of first class. But the real show, the cinematic moment, was just starting. As we crossed into the galley, there was Veronica Vance, standing next to the lead flight attendant, Captain Reyes' second-in-command, a sharp woman named Carla, and Veronica's face was the color of bad sushi, absolutely ghastly. Her new seat was 34D, the absolute last row, the middle seat, jammed between a gigantic, snoring man and a teenage boy who was aggressively playing a loud mobile game with the sound effects cranked to 11. And the piece de resistance, the thing that made me almost black out with satisfied joy, her precious, irreplaceable Birkin was nowhere in sight. But sitting right next to the jetway was a bright yellow, oversized gate check tag, marked fragile, handle with care, zip-tied firmly around the handle of her magnificent $38,000 crocodile handbag, and it was about to be loaded into the cargo hold with the rest of the strollers and golf clubs. She saw us, saw Alara peacefully snuggled into our glorious, brand-new, double bassinet setup, and she truly lost it. Her voice a poisonous hiss. You did this. You complained. I know you told them. Do you know who my husband is? We own half of the Grand Oak Reserves. Carla, the lead attendant, stepped in like a brick wall, her expression utterly impassive. Ma'am, your original seat was needed to accommodate a change in equipment and passenger safety configuration. The decision was final. Now please proceed to your assigned seat, or we will be forced to involve ground security before we even push back. And that was the end of that discussion. Veronica was forced to storm down the narrow aisle, muttering about legal action and destroying the careers of everyone involved. And as she passed row 33, the massive man next to her new seat accidentally bumped her with his elbow, making her stumble right into the line of fire of the teenage boy who didn't even look up from his phone and who, in a perfect act of teenage chaos, accidentally kicked his own bag, which sent a half-eaten bag of bright orange chips flying, one of which landed with ridiculous precision right on the back of Veronica's cream suit jacket, a beautiful orange streak against the designer fabric. The whole front of the plane was in quiet, blissful hysterics. We settled into 1A and 1C, the kind of seats that make you feel like you're already on vacation. The purser brought us warm cookies and 2 chilled glasses of champagne and winked, from the captain, a small token of thanks for your patience. Enjoy your flight. And as the seatbelt sign clicked off and the plane leveled out, I remember taking a deep, shuddering breath, the first truly peaceful one I'd taken in weeks, thinking, it's over, we won. But Veronica Vance, that kind of entitlement doesn't just sit down and shut up. 10 minutes later, she was back, lurking at the curtain that separated our heaven from her hell, demanding to speak to the manager of the aircraft, trying to push past Carla, who stood firm, arms crossed, looking incredibly bored. That's when Veronica decided to pull the nuclear option. She pulled out her phone, started an Instagram live, and began narrating, her voice shaking with righteous, manufactured fury, panning her phone over the curtain to show our section. Look at this, everyone. This is what happens when entitled breeders with crying infants steal the rightful seats of loyal, high-status customers. They're sitting up here sipping champagne, while my priceless Birkin is probably getting crushed next to some wet diapers. The comments section on her phone, which she was holding at eye level, instantly blew up, but not the way she wanted. Half the comments were calling her a monster, the other half were tagging the airline. But then, someone recognized her. Wait, isn't that Ronnie Vance, the one from the Grand Oak Reserves HOA who tried to find that disabled veteran over his flag? Another comment followed. Oh my God, that's the woman who rigged the election to seize the community fund and ban specific families. She didn't like. Her face went from fiery red to ash white as the tsunami of community gossip and legal issues flooded her live stream. It turns out that her Grand Oak Reserves HOA infamy was a deep well of petty tyranny, with accusations of excessive, manipulative fines and some very questionable financial maneuvers with the community checkbook that led to a full-blown civil lawsuit. She tried to end the live stream, fumbling the phone in her panic, and it slid right under the curtain, landing with a clatter, directly at my feet in first class. I picked it up, the live stream still running, now with over 60,000 people watching this real-time meltdown. And without even thinking, I held the phone up, positioning the camera so the audience could clearly see our tranquil, double bassinet setup with Alara peacefully sleeping, the warm lighting, the champagne flutes, and Liam giving a weary but genuine thumbs up. I looked right into the phone camera and said the only thing that felt right, clear and simple. Thank you, Captain Reyes and the amazing crew, for standing up for families and basic decency. Cheers to never being that person. And I hit the end live button for her. The plane went wild again, first class. Passengers were literally toasting us with their mini bottles of water, while Carla, looking like she was having the time of her life, firmly escorted Veronica back to her middle seat in the rear, where the teenager immediately began playing a truly ear-splitting death metal-themed mobile game at full volume. I was honestly wondering how this story could possibly get more ridiculous. But I should have known better than to tempt the universe. We were maybe half an hour out from landing in Denver when Captain Reyes came over the PA, his voice calm, professional, and slightly conspiratorial. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. First, To the Monroe family in row 1, welcome aboard, and congratulations again on your beautiful daughter. Secondly, to Mrs. Veronica Vance in 34D. The Denver Police Department and a representative from the Palm Springs Sheriff's Office have requested we hold the aircraft at the gate upon arrival for a very brief, routine matter. Nothing to worry about, just a little coordination required. And the entire cabin went dead silent, then instantly detonated into the most glorious, unhinged, standing ovation I have ever witnessed at 37,000 feet. Veronica Vance shot up so fast she smacked her head on the overhead bin, screaming, "A routine matter? What did you do? You'll never work again," as if the pilots could hear her over the jet engines. But Carla was already there, arms crossed, looking utterly serene, and it all clicked into place. Someone on that live stream, recognizing the infamous HOA figure, had linked her to the warrant for fraud and grand larceny that had been issued back in California after she refused to hand over the HOA's actual paper checkbook and hard drives containing everyone's personal financial details, essentially holding the community hostage. The geotag live stream was the first time law enforcement had a clean bead on her location in months. We landed, and the second the seatbelt sign went off, 2 uniformed officers and a very tired-looking man in a suit boarded the plane. Veronica tried to scramble into the lavatory, but Carla simply wheeled the beverage cart in front of the aisle like an impenetrable barricade. The police officers were efficient and incredibly polite. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us. There's an active warrant. Please don't make a scene." And they cuffed her right there in the middle seat of row 34 while the entire plane, including the teenager, filmed the proceedings on their phones. She was screaming about false imprisonment and suing everyone from the pilot to the guy who invented airplane peanuts. But as they walked her up the aisle, past the curtain, and into first class, Alara chose that exact, perfect, once-in-a-lifetime moment to wake up, look Veronica Vance dead in the eye, and let out the happiest, most innocent little baby squeal you've ever heard, followed by a massive, gummy, 4-month-old grin. The entire plane just lost it. Slow clapping started, which escalated into a full-blown standing ovation as the officers escorted a sobbing, defeated Veronica off the plane, her hideous, now evidence bag-wrapped Birkin dangling from the officer's wrist. Captain Reyes personally came out of the cockpit to shake our hands. He was beaming, and he told us that not only had the crew pooled their miles to upgrade our return flight from the wedding, whenever we wanted it, for life, but he leaned in and whispered, "My wife and I flew with our preemie daughter 25 years ago. Some woman did the exact same thing to us over a portfolio case. I've waited 2 decades for a chance to settle that score, and today, I finally got to." We made our connection. We got to my sister's wedding, and the rehearsal dinner instantly turned into a watch party because the video of Veronica's mid-flight arrest and the cheers to never being that person moment had hit 30 million views and was trending. Alara slept the entire way in that beautiful bassinet. The champagne stayed cold, and somewhere over the Midwest, I just started crying happy tears into Liam's shoulder because for once, the universe looked at a tired, postpartum mom, fighting for a little space, and said, "You know what? Today, you win." Last I heard, Veronica Vance has been banned from the airline permanently. The HOA in the Grand Oak reserves voted her out unanimously and is proceeding with legal action to recover the stolen funds. But the most incredible part, someone started a GoFundMe for the family, with the veteran who she had tried to find over his American flag, and it raised over $200,000 in 3 days. And the top donation, a huge anonymous chunk, came with a simple note: for every family she ever tried to silence, from the flight deck of PSP to DN. So yeah, never, ever mess with a sleeping baby, especially when that baby's mom is running on no sleep, because the internet, a flight crew with a serious grudge, and a captain waiting 20 years for a chance at payback will make absolutely sure that karma arrives right on schedule, in handcuffs, with a bright orange chip stain on your designer suit. I want to know what you think about this whole situation. Was the captain right to use his authority like that, even if the result was so satisfying, or was it an overreach of power? Was Veronica's eventual arrest justice for the community, or just a coincidence that happened to play out in the most public way possible? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you think the flight crew deserved a massive bonus. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next story where justice gets even more deliciously served.